Welcome back. Right now we'll be looking at which baseball players this year are in contention for the major awards. Alright, guys, first up is the American League Rookie of the Year, and at least in my opinion, this won't be a very long discussion.
Chris, I'll let you start.
Yeah, sleeper pick, I'm going to go with Mike Trout of the Anaheim Angels. Yeah, there's not much discussion here. Not only is there no one else really, a rookie in the AL playing at an elevated level, but there's no one really in MLB playing close to him other than Miguel Cabrera. Mike Trout's been unbelievable since day one. An instant spark plug for the Angels, who now see them very close to the playoffs. But yeah, there's no other guy but Mike Trout.
The last show we had, he was in the discussion for MVP. So I mean, he's going to be there for Rookie of the Year at very least. And you feel bad for Jared Parker from Oakland because he's had an unbelievable year for them, and they're going to the playoffs. Mike Trout's not, but it's still not really that close. I mean, Mike Trout is going to lead the league in steals this year. He's going to lead the league in runs. He's probably been one of the best defenders in the league as well, and it's not really a comparison to anyone else.
Yeah, I think you actually touched on it right there. He's not only leading the league in runs scored and stolen bases, but also for those of you out there that like the more advanced stats, leading the league in wins above replacement also, which is absolutely unheard of for a rookie. But I mean, you look at what he's done, his very underrated defense. It's not even a question that he's probably going to end up taking home the hardware for the AL. But now what about the National League? That one's a little bit more open to discussion, of course. Bryce Harper came up to a lot of pomp and circumstance. He's had a very nice rookie season. But it's not as clear-cut in the National League as to who will win the award.
It's not, and Bryce Harper, he closed the year strong, which was big for him. And they're in the playoffs. They're one of the best teams in the National League. They actually might be the best team in the National League. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with the two guys that had the most hype, but they lived up to it. And I think that's very big. It's hard for young players in this league. You see it. The highly touted prospects all the time, not only in baseball but in the other leagues as well. It's very hard for them to live up to what everyone's expecting out of them. But with Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, they've done just that, and it's very, very impressive. Harper had a little bit of a down stretch in the middle of the year, but he really closed strong, and that's what boosts him up to, I think, National League Rookie of the Year.
For me, it comes down to two guys, both Bryce Harper, like you said, and Scott Frazier of the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati Reds are arguably the best team in the National League, and they've done it for most of the summer without Joey Votto. Joey Votto is, one of the best hitters in the National League and in all of baseball. But when Joey Votto went down, rookie Scott Frazier stepped up in a big way and basically carried the load for him while Votto was gone. So you don't see that often in rookies to step on the scene like that and play such a pivotal point in a team making a run towards the NL pennant. But the stats he's put up, I don't have exact stats on me right now, but the numbers he put up are basically, the best of all rookies we have out there.
Yeah, I mean, with Frazier, I would probably end up giving him the award too. His stats are right there with what Harper's been doing, very comparable in all of the major categories. But also, like you said, he carried that Cincinnati Reds team when Joey Votto went down, and that's why I would have to go with him. The Washington Nationals would probably still be making the playoffs this year, whether or not Harper had been up. I don't know if the Cincinnati Reds would be as good as they are this year if Frazier didn't make the contributions he's made.
Another guy I kind of like, as a sleeper pick, not someone who's probably not going to win, but a guy who's making a run at the end of the season, is Norichika Aoki of the Milwaukee Brewers. A 30-year-old who played 7 years in Japan has come on, and basically, as Matt Gamma went down early in the year, Corey Hart went to first base, and Norichika Aoki then went to right field, and he's been an awesome hitter, and he basically done it all around for them, playing stellar defense and leading the team in stolen bases. So a guy who may not get many votes, but someone who's definitely made a surge at the end of the season for me is Aoki from the Brewers.
All right, the next award that we have up here is the American League Cy Young.
Well, I think that David Price has definitely put himself in the best position to win this award. A lot of people are talking about Fernando Rodney having an opportunity to win the award, which he'll get votes, and I think they're completely warranted. He's had an unbelievable year for a closer. Verlander's always going to be in the discussion, but I think what David Price has done this year for the Rays, and unfortunately they're not going to make the playoffs, but I don't think that for Cy Young, playoffs are as big of a factor as it is for MVP. I think that David Price is my candidate for Cy Young.
I agree with you. I'd definitely have to go with David Price. But a guy that's going to get a lot of votes is Chris Sale of the Chicago White Sox. Going into the season, we knew the White Sox would have the offense, but with Mark Burley departing, going to the Marlins, we knew the White Sox needed that #1 guy. And Chris Sale, just coming out of the bullpen last year, moving to the rotation, has been arguably one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. He's, I believe, is around 18 wins so far in the season, carrying the load for the White Sox all year long. And, you know, personally, like you said, I think David Price is going to win the award, but I think Chris Sale is a close #2.
We better make it 3 for David Price then, because he has just been, this year in the American League, Verlander's been a little bit down. And really, when I think of the one pitcher in the American League that has just been dominant from April until September, David Price is really the only one. And for that reason alone, I think you have to give him the award. He's put up the stats. He's given his team a chance to win every time he's gone out on the mound. And if you're a Rays fan, you've got to feel very comfortable whenever Price is pitching for your team. And that's really what the Cy Young's about. It's about who's been dominant the entire season. Chris Sale, obviously, like you touched on, had a very nice season, of course, transitioning out of the bullpen. Jared Weaver kind of got off to a nice start, but he cooled down. You know, he was in the running more earlier. But Price has been rock solid all year long. And really, I don't think there's anyone more deserving in the American League than him. And now the National League Cy Young, the other side, that's one that's kind of wide open. There's several guys you could consider for that one. Gio Gonzalez is up at the top of some guys. Some people are even saying Zach Greinke. But my picks probably has to be R.A. Dickey. Considering that he's won 20 games on a Mets team that is absolutely terrible, that has an awful offense, to still be able to win that many games as a knuckleballer. He's walked so few guys. He's got incredible control of that pitch. And of course, I don't think that his backstory hurts me. That also helps out a little bit with getting some votes. He's one of those guys that you want to root for, and he had that stretch in, I believe, early June, where that rivals some of Pedro Martinez's best stretches when he was going strong in the late 90s. To me, he's got to win the award.
I think he's definitely a favorite. I think he's definitely the favorite. But, and I prepared that someone would take care of the R.A. Dickey argument, but I'm going to think a little bit outside the box here. Give the award to Craig Kimbrell. Craig Kimbrell is absolutely unhittable out of the Braves bullpen. And I think it's great to see 3 closers in the Cy Young race, Rodney in the AL, Kimbrell and Chapman in the NL. I'm giving my award to Craig Kimbrell. He's carrying that bullpen into the playoffs. There are other good options. I think Strasburg, if he pitched the whole year, would have been up there. Dickey's obviously your favorite. Gio Gonzalez is definitely a good option. But I want to give the award to the most unhittable pitcher in baseball right now, which in my mind is Craig Kimbrell.
You made a good point bringing up the closers because Kimbrell as well as Chapman have been basically unhittable all year long. For me, it comes down to 2 guys, Johnny Cueto and R.A. Dickey. But to me, I think you got to give the award to R.A. Dickey, like you said. I mean, who knew the Mets were going to win 20 games this year, let alone with 1 pitcher? So for R.A. Dickey to come out and lead a Mets team to that many victories, game in and game out, you know, and the thing, he's a knuckleballer. The less stress on his arm, the more innings he goes. So we see him constantly going out 8 or 9 innings at a time, just being basically, like you said, the Cy Young winner should be dominant from April to September, and I would say that R.A. Dickey is basically the definition of dominant.
Yeah, and actually I completely forgot about not only Johnny Cueto, but also Craig Kimbrell. Both guys having fantastic seasons, and perhaps, especially for Kimbrell being a little bit than Cueto, he certainly probably does have a Cy Young in his future.
It's definitely a good
possibility.
And this year could be a possibility, and it would not be that big of a robbery or a controversy as it has been in past years when relievers have won. And now we're going to the big one. These next 2, the MVPs for both leagues, have been getting a lot of debate recently. The one that's probably gotten the most debate has been in the American League, obviously between Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera. Who do you guys think is going to win?
Me and Joe touched on this during our last show. It's basically Miguel Cabrera versus Mike Trout, and I'm going to stick with my pick. I got to go Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera has been dominant the whole year through and through, carrying the Tigers lineup while we've seen a few injuries and Prince Fielder not having the monster year that was probably projected for him. But for Miguel Cabrera, to not only provide the power numbers, you know, low 40 home runs, 120, 130 RBIs, plus the batting average, which is currently sitting at 341, I mean, that doesn't happen nowadays. Mike Trout is having a great year. He has plenty of MVPs in his future. He's the future of baseball. But this season, 2012, it's got to be Miguel Cabrera.
Let's make no mistake about it. Miguel Cabrera has won the Triple Crown, and that's not done on an everyday basis. So he's going to win the MVP. But what keeps Mike Trout in the conversation is that wins above replacement that Joe touched on before. He's still leading in wins above replacement, which is a huge stat, and I think it's becoming more and more involved in the voting over these past few years with advanced stats coming into play a little bit more. Mike Trout's there, and Mike Trout will probably win an MVP in his near future, but right now, Miguel Cabrera is going to win the MVP.
Exactly. You give Trout the Rookie of the Year. I don't think you necessarily give him the MVP, especially not when you have a guy who's won the Triple Crown. You know, I never thought I'd see a Triple Crown winner in my lifetime. Those kinds of players just do not come around even once in a generation, maybe once in every 2 or 3 generations. And if there was a guy playing today who could do it, I'd have figured it would either have been Cabrera or Pujols. And just that it is Cabrera this year, absolutely incredible. You have to give the man the MVP award. And on the National League side, it's a little bit more open than that. I don't think we're going to necessarily agree on who should get the award. Right now, they're saying the big 2 guys are Buster Posey and Ryan Braun. What do you guys think?
I think Posey's been great. Second half of the year, Posey's been unbelievable, and he's carried that Giant offense, which has ran away with the NL West. But Ryan Braun, to me, and he's going to have multiple MVPs by the end of his career. He's such a dynamic player. He steals bases, he hits home runs, he drives in runs. And I know you're a big Brewers fan, so you might agree with me here. But to me, Ryan Braun, even though they're not going to make the playoffs, they made a nice push at the end of the year, and I'm giving it to Ryan Braun.
Again, I don't want to be biased, like you said. I'm a big Brewers fan. I'm a big Ryan Braun fan. I got to go with Ryan Braun on this. We said a big stat in baseball today is wins above replacement, and as of right now, Ryan Braun leads the league just by a slim margin over Buster Posey, but he does lead the NL wins above replacement. Basically, has been invaluable to that team. We saw Prince Fielder let go over the offseason. We brought in Aramis Ramirez, who got off to a pretty slow start along with Ricky Weeks, and Ryan Braun never missed a beat. He's been basically on fire for the last month of the season, leading the league in home runs. He's 1 shy of RBIs, and he's 5th in batting average. I mean, it's not Triple Crown numbers of Miguel Cabrera, but he's had, again, another very, very good season.
Absolutely. I mean, some people will make the argument that the steroids thing might influence the voting this year, but you know what? He's had a better year this year. He was proved that it was a false test. And to me, there's no one that's even in his class. I don't think you can give it to Posey. He's been good. But I think the fact more that Braun has done it every day. He's gone out there every day and just played phenomenally. Over 40 home runs this season. He's elevated his play to a whole nother level this year, really when the Brewers have needed him the most now that Fielder's no longer there. And like you noted, Weeks and Ramirez getting off to slower starts earlier in the season. It would be an absolute travesty if Ryan Braun does not win the MVP this year.
Just one more note. I mean, it's so hard to do what Buster Posey is doing this year. Being a catcher and putting up those kind of numbers consistently is so hard to do, and not many catchers could do it. So kudos to Buster Posey, but the numbers don't lie. Ryan Braun definitely is in line to win this award.
All right, well, that will do it for this edition of Lions Lineup. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you would like to become a part of Lions Lineup or work for LTV, email our account at ltv@tcnj.edu, or you can like our Facebook page, LTV@TCNJ. For Joe Caputo, Chris Drabik, and all of us here at LTV, I'm Joe Vasile. We'll see you next time.